It's time for the world of sports with
Brett.
Matadocious. All right, so Matadocious isn't here. This is usually her segment, and it's okay that she's not here. She's traveling. But something happened in the world of sports last night that I have to talk about, and I have to yell into a microphone about because, as I said, the whole reason of having this show is so that I can get these thoughts in my head out there to the public. Such as my thoughts on Lin-Manuel Miranda, who, by the way, I would love to be in a musical again. And Lin, if you're listening, you're a genius. Let's work together. Let's do some stuff. I'll just be that guy during rehearsal that raises his hands and goes, I think we could rhyme wheel with something other than wheel. That's all I'm saying. Okay, anyway, back to sports. So, last night, Thursday night football, nothing ever happens during Thursday night football.
Typically.
Oh, the games are always really pretty bad because the players are still tired from the weekend before and nobody really wants to play in them anyway. But it's football and it's on TV, and so I'm watching, right? And you got the Cleveland Browns, the once mighty Cleveland Browns, who have just fallen on hard times for like the last 20 years, right? The Cleveland Browns football team, which has not won a game since, get this, Katie, Christmas Eve 2016.
Good gravy.
Closing in on almost 2 years of not winning a football game, okay?
Yeah.
And you got the New York Jets, who also, the once mighty New York Jets, who I believe went to like 3 AFC championships in a row in the mid 2000, like, you know, from like 2001 to 2004 or something like that, like early 2000s, right? Like they were pretty good, and they were good before that. They've won a Super Bowl before, but they've also kind of fallen on some hard times, right? So you got 2 down teams, and so it's like, come on, this is not going to be that great of a game. But the storyline you got going on is that the number 1 pick in the draft, this kid Baker Mayfield, who's, in my opinion, a bit of a hot shot, a bit of a prima donna, but whatever. He's a good football player.
So they get the number 1 pick, the Browns do, because they are so sucky.
Well, yeah.
I'm just asking a question.
Yes, yes, you get to pick in the draft based on the order that you finished the season before. If you didn't do very good, you get to pick high.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. Anyway, the Cleveland Browns, they got this number 1 pick, but he's not playing. He doesn't play yet because they want to bring him along slow. He's young. He's new to the league. They're letting a veteran guy named Tyrod Taylor play, who's a good quarterback, and he's a veteran, and he's starting the game. But you got the number 1 pick standing on the sidelines, right? Cleveland has lost the first game, tied the first game, so they still didn't win. They lost the second game. This is the 3rd game of the season, right? The Jets have a rookie quarterback as well, but he's playing in the game, and he was the 2nd quarterback taken in the draft. Oh, storyline, right? Who picked best? Okay. But like I said, Baker's not playing.
Yeah.
Oh, here's what happens. The game starts. Browns are playing terrible. Like, really pretty terrible. The defense is playing okay, but the offense is playing terrible. They've only got 40 yards, like just before halftime or something like that. I mean, they're doing bad. Quarterback is like 2 of 11. He's not hitting any receivers. It's not looking good for this guy. He's also getting sacked. He's just getting beat up, thrown around back there. Not having a good game, right? Not having a good time. They're in Cleveland, so the fans are starting to get restless. They want to see their number 1 pick in the draft, right? And I'm feeling bad for Tyrod because he's a good player. He's just having a bad night, okay? But even the announcers are starting to go like, not looking good for him. They're probably going to, when are they going to bring in the rookie, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, well, if they bring in the rookie and he just lights it up, this poor Tyrod, poor TT, poor Tyrod Taylor, that might be done. It might be over for him in Cleveland, right? And I feel bad for the guy. But it might happen. Well, the decision gets made for the coaches because he goes down and he gets hurt. And he goes over into the tent. Tyrod, he goes into the tent. And now the Browns get the ball back, and then here comes Baker Mayfield off the sideline. And it's like, oh boy, here we go. Let's see what happens. Now they're down 14-0 at this point. It's about almost halftime. They barely completed a pass all game. Here comes Baker Mayfield. He drops back. And by the way, I'm no Browns fan, okay? But I might have became one last night. He drops back. He rips this thing 20 yards down the field. I mean, it had smoke coming off of the back of it. He threw it so hard. I'm not kidding. He was probably all jacked up on adrenaline, super excited to get in there. He drops back, plants that back foot in the ground, fires a rocket down the middle. I mean, it went like almost through the receiver's chest. Seriously, the football stuck in the guy's sternum. It was thrown that hard. He had no choice but to catch it. He caught it with his body. It was amazing. He almost died. He almost died. Baker Mayfield almost killed a man on his first throw. No, he caught the ball and he leads him down the field for a field goal. They go into halftime, 14-3, I think. Come out in the second half. He lights it up. They score like 21 unanswered points, win the game 24-17. Cleveland goes bananas. They're loving this guy. The announcers are basically text messaging him their phone numbers and stuff, like wanting to have his baby halfway through the second half. The announcers were tripping over themselves.
Wow.
Oh, it was getting downright erotic how much they were in love with Baker Mayfield. One point they show an instant replay of him just like ripping the ball again. I mean, this guy throws it 100 miles an hour. It's amazing.
Wow.
He chucks it. They showing a replay of it, and the announcer is Troy Aikman, who's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he literally goes, "Whoa." Like when he's watching the replay. I mean, I think Troy he orgasmed a bit. It was as if he was sniffing those mushrooms from yesterday. Yeah, that's the male version of those mushrooms, by the way, is watching another man throw a football. Oh boy, he was just lighting it up. It was amazing. It was incredible. He almost threw a pick in the end zone to the Jets, but he threw it so hard that it bounced right off the Jets guy. He couldn't even catch it. It was thrown so hard. It's amazing. It was amazing. And back to what we were saying earlier. Life is all about timing, right? Mm-hmm. I believe that. It's all about timing. Because let's say that Tyrod, who, as I've said, he is a very competent quarterback. He took the Buffalo Bills to the playoffs last year. He is a good quarterback. But let's say he doesn't get hurt, right? But he's having a bad game. But the coaches are still nervous to put Baker in there because they're like, we don't want to throw him to the wolves just yet, right? We don't want to maybe we don't want to ruin his confidence, right? We're nervous. And so let's say Tyrod doesn't get hurt, but they end up losing the game like, 21-7, something like that, 24-7, something like that, right? Well, then this whole off week, all they're going to hear is, why didn't you put in the rookie? Why didn't you pull Tyrod? Like, why didn't you the coach would be on the hot seat. Should we fire the coach? Does he know what he's doing? Why isn't he making a change? There'd be all this controversy, right? Mm-hmm. And also, then maybe they'd say, okay, yeah, we'll put Baker in the next game. And then he goes in the next game to start, but starting a game cold as a rookie is a completely different experience than coming in halfway through. And maybe he goes in the next game and they're playing a slightly better team than the Jets, and maybe he has a terrible game and his confidence is shot, and maybe he never really recovers from it, right? Mm-hmm. But coincidence strikes and Tyrod gets hurt. The coaches, it basically makes their decision for them. He comes in off the bench, so he doesn't have to have the pressure of starting the game with the whole team on his back and the whole city on his back and all the weight of the world on top of him starting the game cold. He gets to come in when it's 17-0. He's got nothing to lose. Get in there, hit your back foot, and rip it, kid. Whatever. We're already down by 17, right? Mm-hmm. So he goes in with nothing to lose and ends up, being the big hero, but it's all about timing, right?
Yeah.
And also those coaches get to go stand in front of a podium and be like, hey, I'm a genius.
Totally.
Look at me, right? Because now, they get asked, well, were you thinking of putting Baker in anyway? And the coach goes, oh, yeah, we're going to put him in at halftime. Sure. Yeah, well, we'll never know, will we? It's all about timing. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, by the way, note on Baker Mayfield. Hardworking kid. He was a walk-on in college, which means he didn't even had to try out for the team. Ends up being the number one pick in the draft. So he's a hardworking kid. I like that about him. Could handle himself a little bit better, a little arrogant, but whatever. He's a quarterback. We'll see what happens. He doesn't get on my nerves like Tom Brady yet. Oh, boy.
No Ugg boots?
Oh. As soon as Baker Mayfield starts running out of the tunnel without his helmet on, but the rest of the team has their helmet on, then it's going to be time to talk.
Yeah.
But for now, he can keep ripping it. As long as he's not playing the Seahawks. Yeah, he looked great. It was a fun game.
Nice.
Nothing ever happens on Thursday Night Football, so it was fun to watch. But it's just cool to see someone get their shot and run with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is cool.
It's like life advice for everybody watching. You might only get one shot, and you don't know when it's going to be either. That's the thing. You don't know when that starting quarterback's going to go down and you're going to get called on.
Right.
And as soon as you get called on, instead of going in there timid and dropping back for your first pass and going, oh, I don't know where to throw it. I'm nervous. I'm afraid to fail. I'm just going to get sacked, right? Instead of doing that, hey, you got nothing to lose. Just get in there, hit that back foot, and rip it, kid. That's some life advice right there.